Did you know that the fall of one of the world's mightiest empires was sealed by fewer than 600 foreign soldiers? It sounds like something out of a fantasy novel, but this is the incredible true story of the Spanish conquest of the Aztec Empire. Let's rewind to 1519. The world was a patchwork of sprawling empires, and in the heart of modern-day Mexico, the Aztec Triple Alliance reigned supreme. Their capital, Tenochtitlan, was a marvel of engineering. A floating city larger and more populous than any in Europe at the time, home to hundreds of thousands of people. It was a center of art, astronomy, and a deeply complex society. But on the horizon, change was coming. A Spanish expedition, led by a man named Hernán Cortés, landed on the coast. He had just a few hundred men, a handful of cannons, and about 16 horses. To the Aztecs, these men, with their pale skin, facial hair, and metal armor, riding strange beasts, must have seemed like beings from another world. The Aztec Emperor Moctezuma II was a powerful and thoughtful ruler, but he was faced with a situation unlike any his ancestors had ever encountered. Was Cortés a god, a diplomat, or an invader? Moctezuma chose caution, welcoming the Spaniards into the magnificent city of Tenochtitlan with lavish gifts of gold. This, however, was a fatal miscalculation. The sight of such immense wealth only fueled the Spaniards' ambition. Cortés and his men, far from being grateful guests, took Moctezuma hostage within his own palace, attempting to rule the empire through their captive emperor. This act of audacity sparked outrage among the Aztec nobility and populace, leading to a massive uprising. The Spanish were driven from the city in a bloody retreat known as La Noche Triste, or the Sad Night, where they suffered heavy casualties. It seemed as though the Aztec Empire had repelled the invaders, but Cortés was relentless. He and his surviving men retreated to the territory of the Tlaxcalans, a powerful people who had long resisted Aztec rule. This is a crucial, often overlooked part of the story. The Spanish were not alone. Cortés skillfully forged alliances with tens of thousands of indigenous warriors from city-states like Tlaxcala and Zempoala, who were tired of the Aztecs' demands for tribute and sacrifices. This wasn't just a story of Spanish versus Aztec. It was a massive civil war, with the Spanish acting as a catalyst. The indigenous allies provided the manpower, the knowledge of the terrain, and the sheer numbers that Cortés desperately needed. Before the final assault, however, a silent and far more deadly enemy arrived with the Europeans: smallpox. The indigenous peoples of the Americas had no immunity to Old World diseases. The epidemic swept through Tenochtitlan with terrifying speed, wiping out up to 40% of the city's population in a single year. It killed warriors, leaders, and civilians alike, devastating the Aztec command structure and morale long before the fighting even resumed. The great emperor who succeeded Moctezuma died from it, a testament to the disease's indiscriminate power. If you're finding this part of history as fascinating as I do, I highly recommend the book Conquistador Hernán Cortés, King Montezuma, and The Last Stand of the Aztecs by Buddy Levy. It's a gripping narrative that reads like an adventure novel, but is packed with incredible historical detail. It really brings these larger-than-life characters and the sheer drama of the events to life. I'll drop a link in the description below for you to check it out on Amazon. It's a fantastic read for anyone who wants to dive deeper into this epic story. By the year 1521, Cortés was ready for his final move. Bolstered by his native allies and new Spanish reinforcements, he laid siege to the devastated Tenochtitlan. The Aztecs, now led by their final heroic emperor, Cuauhtémoc, fought with incredible ferocity. For 93 days, they defended their home block by block, enduring starvation and constant bombardment. The fighting was brutal and total. The Spaniards and their allies had to demolish the beautiful city as they advanced, filling in canals to move their cannons and cavalry. Finally, on August 13, 1521, with the city in ruins and its defenders nearly annihilated, Cuauhtémoc was captured and the Aztec Empire fell. The numbers are staggering. Historians estimate that the conflict and the accompanying diseases resulted in the deaths of over 10 million people within just a few years. It was a demographic catastrophe on a scale that's hard to comprehend. The fall of Tenochtitlan marked the end of the Aztec civilization and the beginning of 300 years of Spanish rule in the region, which would become known as New Spain. So, how did this change the world? The impact was immense and immediate. For the first time, two entirely separate hemispheres of the planet were permanently connected. This kicked off the Columbian Exchange, a massive transfer of plants, animals, culture, technology, ideas, and, tragically, diseases. From the Americas, Europe received potatoes, tomatoes, corn, jute, and chocolate foods that would revolutionize diets and fuel population growth across the globe. Can you imagine Italian food without tomatoes or Irish history without the potato? For those who want to explore this global transformation in a fun and tangible way, I found this really cool board game called Risk. It's a strategy game you'll definitely want to check out. It's all about world domination and making clever moves, and I've dropped a link for it in the description so you can easily find it. Trust me, it's a blast for game night. Coming back to our story, in return, the Americas received wheat, cattle, pigs, and, most consequentially, the horse, which transformed life for many indigenous groups on the plains. But the exchange was not equal. Spain was flooded with unimaginable amounts of silver and gold from the mines of Mexico and Peru, making it the wealthiest and most powerful nation in Europe for a time. This influx of wealth funded European wars and economies, but also laid the groundwork for a global economic system built on colonial exploitation. The conquest also led to the creation of a new, blended culture. Spanish and indigenous traditions, languages, and bloodlines mixed to create the vibrant and unique culture of modern Mexico. The Spanish language spread across the continent, and Catholicism became the dominant religion, often merging with native beliefs in a process called syncretism. The world as we know it today, with its interconnected economies and cultures, was forged in the crucible of these dramatic events. From the clash of empires in the Valley of Mexico came a new global era, a painful and complex birth that reshaped humanity's destiny forever. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey back in time. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about the epic stories that shaped our world, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Let us know in the comments what piece of history you'd like us to explore next. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.